Hello sisters. So today I wanted to talk about something that's really dear to my heart, and that is judging people. I always feel that judging people is such a horrible thing to do, and because of this I feel like a lot of people don't come to the Christian faith. I feel that people see so many Christians and their self-righteousness, thinking how perfect they are, that they feel no reason to come to the Christian faith because, for one, they're going to be judged. They're not going to be accepted there. They're not going to be taught anything. They're just going to have a finger pointed in their face telling them that they're going to hell or that they're doing something wrong. And that, to me, is so wrong. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I have judged people in the past, but now that I've really grown in my faith, I really feel that that is just such a horrible thing to do, especially to people that may not believe in God or are atheists, because they're not going to want to come to the Christian faith or learn anything about Christianity if we're sitting there judging them or calling them names or acting like we're better than them. Because in truth, we're not better than them. We're not better than the person sitting next to us. We're not better than any person. We are all sinners. We are all failing. We all make mistakes. We're all just doing something that's wrong, and to judge other people like we're so perfect is just wrong. We're not perfect. God didn't make us perfect. And what really inspired me to make this video is because I was watching a different video the other day, and it was a man who's a pastor, and he was preaching about women wearing pants. And I was agreeing with what he was saying because obviously I don't wear pants. I don't find them to be very modest. But I have my own reasons for that. But what he was saying in the sermon was he was insulting a woman that he saw because she was dressed sort of unisex, I guess you would say. Like, he couldn't really tell her gender, and he referred to her as a creature, and he referred to her as just a thing. And for me, that was just horrible to hear. That was such a huge sin to say that about another person, because let's say that woman was listening to a sermon, or let's say something that was someone that resembled that woman, or just something in general. Why would they want to be Christians now? Why would they want to learn anything about Christians when a pastor can sit there and call them a creature? When Jesus was on earth, he didn't insult people to try and bring them to the Christian faith. He didn't call them names or call them things or creatures. If you want to tell somebody, there's a difference between judging someone and telling them about the Bible and telling them about modesty or just something you're passionate about that you feel that they might be sinning and not knowing that they're doing it, or just sinning in general and not really caring. There's a difference between judging and telling. Telling someone is to kindly, lovingly, with like how Jesus would tell them that, hey, this is a sin, you may not have known this, just tell them about it. Judging someone is when you act like you're better than them, when you sit there and call them names, when you get in their face, when you just in general think that you're perfect and they're doing something wrong. You're not perfect. None of us are perfect. Let's just get that straight. And so there's just that video was really shocking to me that a pastor could say that about somebody. Just what? Why would anyone want to be a Christian? If you're going to act hateful and mean, if you're not going to act any better than people who are atheists or people who have no God, why would people want to be Christians? If people who are Christians and they're not acting any better than atheists, what's the point? We as Christians are told in the Bible to spread the word of God with love and compassion. And that kind of relates back to in my previous video, I had gotten a question from somebody asking me what would I think of a girl if she was wearing like a mini skirt and a low cut top or something like that. I can't even really remember. But and my answer to that was I would, if she was in my church or something, or if I had met her before, if she was some lady at the mall or something, I probably wouldn't go up to her. I would just pray for her and let her go on her way. And if she was in my church, I would probably try and sit her down and just talk to her about modesty. For all we know, she's never been told about modesty. It's not something that is very prominent or taught a lot in churches nowadays. So for all we know, she doesn't even know about modesty. She doesn't even know anything about the teachings in the Bible about modesty. So with lovingness and compassion, I would try and introduce her to the topic. And maybe she has been taught to it, maybe she just doesn't care. But in the same time, I want to show her in a loving way that this is in the Bible and this is something that Christian women should follow. So for me, when it comes to that, I can't judge that girl. I used to be that girl. I used to be the girl in the mini skirts and the low cut tops and the high heels. That was me. So how can I sit here and judge her when I used to be her? So in my head, I couldn't judge her. I just couldn't. And maybe you're not like me and you didn't start with your Christianity later in life. Maybe you've been a Christian all your life, but that doesn't mean that you're better than me or better than the girl that still hasn't found her faith. We're not better than each other. We are all the same. And yes, are some sins worse than others? Of course they are. But at the same time, we don't need to judge that person for sinning. We don't need to judge what they have done or what they are doing. We need to spread the word of God with love to them. We need to try and introduce them to things in the Bible to share this faith with them. Because if we're just going to spread it with hate and not just try and bring them to the Christian faith in a loving manner, they're not going to want to come to the Christian faith. And I believe in the man's sermon as well, referring back to the video I watched, I won't say who the man was or anything like that, but in the sermon he called homosexuals queers on, like, constantly throughout the entire sermon, and he just kept referring them in like dirty names and things like that, and I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. I mean, if you are homosexual or you know someone that is homosexual, they're not going to want to come to the Christian faith if you're sitting there calling them names. They're not going to want to learn about God if Christians act horrible towards them. And obviously I'm not for gay marriage. I don't believe it was intended for a man to be with a man, obviously, because God didn't create us that way. It didn't fit. But that doesn't mean that if I met a homosexual, if I knew a homosexual, I was going to treat them like dirt, like they're beneath me in any way. I'm going to try and introduce them to the Bible and introduce them to what God says about this, and in a loving way. If I don't introduce them to it in a loving way, they're not going to listen. That's just the bottom line. No one is going to listen if you point the finger at them and say, you're going to hell for this, this, and this. And it's like, okay, goodbye. That's the end of the discussion right there. So yeah, I really just wanted to get my thoughts out on the judgment issue, just because it is something that I really feel a lot of Christians do. I feel a lot of Christians, once they've become, like, they feel like they've grown so much in their faith and now they get to point the finger at everybody else. It's just not the right thing to do as a Christian. And so I really just wanted to let you guys know what I feel about this. And if you are someone, or if you think maybe you have been judging, obviously I'm not judging you for judging. I'm just trying to enlighten you that this is a sin. It is a sin to judge other people. And if you feel that you've been judging or you've been saying some hurtful things, just go back and apologize and try and look through the Bible for, or maybe I'll post the Bible verses at the end of this video as the clips of where it says in the Bible, love your neighbor, love the sinner, love people that do you wrong, just love everybody. That is what God commands. So that is pretty much the end of this video. I hope you guys are all having a very blessed day, and that's it. Goodbye.